Hey there, it's Beth, and we're back with another Froud's Fairy Oracle card. This is so it's easier to read it in the book. I find this font, I think it's pretty, but the font can sometimes be difficult to read. It's Sylvanius. And a while back, when I was first starting up, I did like 75 free money readings. And almost all of, I'd say at least half, if not more, had Sylvanius themes in them of clarity. I want clarity. I need clarity. I gotta find clarity. Clarity, 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 clarity. And it was so much Sylvanius freaking energy in a lot of those money readings. It's amazing how many of us think, oh, gotta be clear. And Sylvanius is about finding clarity in a way. It may not be the clarity you think you should be finding, but you will find some clarity with this guy. It's because I've been guilty of the clarity thing too. I need clarity. I need clarity. And what I learned from Sylvanius is the more I did, the more I acted, the more steps I took through into the process of saying, okay, so I need to do this. Okay, I'm going to use my business because personal experience, it's easier to draw from real experience than like some kind of made up like this. So, like say you're setting up, when you're setting up a website, because I did it myself. Yeah, that's where I'm at. And plus, then you know how to use what you're using. I know people who are like, yeah, I can't get into my person for 3 months and can't change anything. And they're like, ew. So, what do you need to do? Because when you think about the project as a whole, you have no clarity, and it's so you out. It's like it's like I gotta do what next? Especially if you're starting from scratch and you're writing copy and pictures and formatting and what themes, and there's a lot to think of. And you may feel a little bit muddled and start overthinking of Sylvanius. It's about truth, cutting through deception, and getting clarity. And what I learned from this card and doing things like, say, setting up a website or creating a big project is stop thinking about it as a whole. You can have a whole vision, but you don't have to have clarity of what the whole thing looks like. You just need to have clarity about that first step. Okay, I'm going to take a picture of me today. I'm going to create some graphics. I'm going to write copy. And break things down into action steps, because that's where clarity really comes from. It's not this big, ooh, I got clarity. Because usually what happens when you get clarity, and it's a, ooh, you're like, I got clarity. And then 3 days later, you're like, I had clarity. And because it's so fast and fleeting, when you have those big epiphany kind of download things, a lot of times, it can evaporate. Especially if you're not putting into action what that epiphany was. Promptly writing it down, remembering it, because we like to think, yeah, I'm going to remember that, yeah. And then you don't. You just don't. Trust me. More than one thing. Oh, remember what that spice is. What's that spice? Yeah, it's happened to me in the spice cupboard at my home. Like, I just remember what that is, and yeah, I don't. Label and date. Be like the restaurant kitchens. It works. But Sylvanius, see, that's one form of clarity. See, I don't have to worry about it because I label things like I did when I worked in a restaurant. And that's awesome. So Sylvanius reminded me, hey, it's the truth. It's an easy way to get some clarity in the kitchen. So, what? And I think it's interesting because if you look at this, you see this. This is the mask of truth right here. And the idea behind the mask of truth is that you put it on, because according to Sylvanius, your face is not your truth, necessarily. And sometimes you got to hide your face, then take off the mask, so you can reveal your truth, in that phase where you're not seeing yourself as the truth you're seeking, as the clarity you're seeking. It's in that moment where you can really find the clarity, that you can really find the truth beneath the surface of you. And in many ways, this is what that clarity is talking about. It's that deeper truth of the inner you, not the one you think you should have, not the one that you've been told you should have, and sometimes not even the one you think you're working towards. it's an interesting card to work with. And like I said, when I did the 75 money readings, I'd say almost everyone asked for clarity. How can I get clear? How can I get clear? How can you break it down into tiny little baby steps and act? Because those actions, you're going to create clarity. I started this business on it. Maybe I'll just do some readings and sell some art. That was it. Does that sound like there was a lot of clarity there? There wasn't. There was not much clarity. And as I went along, the clarity has gotten much clearer because I started. I didn't wait for clarity to arrive fully formed from my head like freaking was it Athena? Athena from Zeus's brain. In his head. No. I didn't wait for that. I took action steps. I took baby steps. And those baby steps have added up into big steps, which lead up to Sylvanius and having some clarity. And the thing with this card, too, is, when you're working with Sylvanius, you're working with truth. You're working with delving deep into your truth and what it truly means to you. Not the shoulds, not the woulds, the coulds, what you regret, what you wish you would have done. It makes you become very honest with you and delving into what are the false stories and narratives you tell yourself, what are the beliefs that you've adopted that really don't work, that aren't yours, that may be misleading, and take you into the murky waters out of this light of clarity that you can find when you're willing to go deep into this kind and be like, hey, yeah, I put this mask on so I don't see my reflection of what I think I am. I see what I am, especially when you remove it and you're like, oh, wait, that's what was behind there. Yeah, the whole mask thing, very kind of fairy energy. You have to put the mask on to hide so you can take it off so you can know. One of the things, too, with this card I always find interesting is the perception really does play into it. And, if someone tells you a perception of you that you're like, what? Don't reject it automatically. If you're like, wait, what, you think that of me? Take a minute to examine it. Take some time and be like, okay, so so-and-so thinks I'm like this or what. I can't think of anything off the top of my head to use an example. A perception that you did not see yourself, whether it's good or bad. Remember, these can be good perceptions. You may not have really thought of about yourself. And you don't want to reject it outright and be like, yeah, no. You want to explore that. You want to step into it because remember, with Sylvanius, we're exploring our truth of what we are, who we are inside to understand ourselves so we can get some clarity around life. And clarity, it's really a subjective thing. What may feel clear to someone else is not going to feel clear to another person. It's kind of like art. I think it's like a process of, I know, like, where I used to stop, like 3 years ago with a face, is not where I stop now with a face. How I work and what I consider a finished product has changed since then. So Sylvanius is going to help you with that process of, at this point in time, this was your done. And then in the middle, it was done. And right now, it's this way. Those things change. And your perceptions of what is done, because I'm using art, changes. Much like when someone says, oh yeah, you're like, I see you like this. And you're like, I don't see myself like that. What's weird? Oh, and you want to, with the Sylvanius, you need to go and explore that. Oh my God, that's weird. They see me that way. How can they see me that way? And think it over before you be like, oh, I'm not that way. How can other people inform you as to the truth of yourself and help you bring some clarity in? And this is one of those cards that if you get too caught up in the trap of, I must have clarity, and this is the way my clarity is going to show up. You can't get caught up in the distortion of truth, of believing that this is what I want it to be and this is what it is, and reflections of mass that are not your truth, things like that. It's in here. It says, when someone ever says, "Oh, you so are," stop and ask yourself if it's true. It's like, because I know I rant about, like, you are so talented. Am I talented, or do I just practice a lot? Whether it's art, magic, or spirituality. Is it talent, or is it just interest? Because I kind of feel like talent is like 99% crazy desire to keep on going, to keep on creating, to keep on working magic, to keep on creating spiritual processes within life. So, but is it talent? I don't know. Sylvanius asks you to, if someone's saying something like that, really don't be like, ugh. Don't dismiss it. Well, maybe I need to think about that whole talent thing, according to Sylvanius, and rephrase that in my mind. Or maybe it really just is a lot of freaking practice, or both. So, that's another thing to watch out for here. And really, when it's kind of coming in reversed, because I do use reversed with this deck, because I find it has a different meaning and there's a different potency to things. Like, also, like when card is coming in upside down, it can also mean that the areas of aspiration have ganged up on you and are like chipping away at the little shell you have built around yourself, so you can't see what you need to see of your truth of self, and breaking you open. So yeah, if you're looking for clarity, maybe you need to flow with it a little bit more. Maybe you need to put on that mask of truth to see your true clarity. And pay attention to perception, because half of clarity is how you perceive it. And if you keep telling yourself you're unclear and you're not clear and this ain't clear and that ain't clear, you're going to be unclear. If you're like, so I think I can resolve this one issue by an action step today, do it. If you think you can resolve another issue through another action step tomorrow, 2 months from now, a year, keep going, keep acting, keep taking those steps to walk into your truth, discover what you want to be, what you are, what your truths are, what your perceptions are, and are you perceiving correctly? Are you telling yourself stories that don't mesh up with who you are? Because we do that sometimes, and it's not necessarily the best behavior, and Sylvanius can help with that, and they can help. And Sylvanius and his friends, that's conjured down there with the sword, can help you find the truth of you. Alrighty. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you around. And go out there and be the love in the world. Bye-bye.